All right, musicians, producers, engineers, and creative explorers, welcome to AIX Music. The music industry is officially stepping into the AI era. Big headline to start: Universal Music Group and Warner Music are reportedly on the verge of landmark AI licensing deals. That's right, these labels are preparing to license their catalogs for AI training and even AI-generated music. So we're not talking about a small pilot program, we're talking about deals that could set the template for how AI and music interact globally. So today we're breaking down all of what this means for creators, from indie artists that are making beats in their bedrooms to mastering engineers in top studios. So we'll cover AI licensing, ethical debates about AI's use of artist likenesses, celebrity AI controversies, emerging tools, platform experiments, and the business side of AI in music. So by the end of this episode, you'll understand how AI is shaping creativity, giving you opportunity, creating risk, and what you can do to protect your voice, grow your skills, and maybe even profit from the AI wave. So stick around, it's going to be conversational, a little witty, and packaged with some actionable takeaways. Whether you're creating, producing, performing, or just curious about the tech, this episode is your guide to navigating the AI-powered music landscape. All right, let's kick things off with the big business story: labels and AI licensing. So according to Reuters and the music business worldwide, Universal and Warner are closing in on finalizing their AI licensing agreements, which would allow them to give AI companies to legally train models on their music catalogs. So that could include everything from classic hits to modern releases, with models generating entirely new music in the style of existing artists. So these deals may establish streaming-style micropayments or other royalties for AI-generated tracks, which is something we've been hearing a lot of discussion about that people would like. I still haven't seen a way that makes a lot of sense, but in a direct licensing deal like this, there's probably some sort of number that can get figured out. But trying to pay microtransactions to each use from a random generation might be tougher. So for artists, this is introducing a new kind of income stream potentially, possibly maybe only for the bigger artists at the moment. But imagine your song being used to train AI and then that AI generating a hit that charts worldwide. So theoretically, you could see micropayments or royalties every time the AI output is consumed. But it's also raising big questions about the creative control. So if AI can learn from your style and produce music in your voice, are you still the sole owner of the sound? How do you maintain your identity when AI-generated content is just able to mimic everything perfectly? Now, obviously, they're doing the licensing, so they're having further control than just letting it run, but still, it's an interesting question. From a practical standpoint, understanding AI licensing is now important, because understanding distribution of publishing deals is important. So if you're a musician, composer, and engineer, it might be the moment to educate yourself on the IP rights, the contracts, and the AI-specific clauses. So think of AI licensing like giving a colleague permission to use your studio to produce music in. Except that the colleague could be a machine that replicates your style at scale. So he's stealing your studio, using all your stuff, and creating beautiful music in your style, and maybe he pays you a little bit. So the legal and business landscape is shifting fast. Staying informed could mean the difference from profiting or being pushed out. Now, interestingly, we'll see how these artists react, because they are signed to these companies, but potentially not all of them are super excited about doing this training. So it stands to be seen what the actual artist outcry is going to be once this deal closes. We'll let you know what's going on with that as it develops. So what are your takeaways here? Licensing AI usage is becoming a formal industry conversation. So we're tracking those updates. We're learning how it could affect you. We're keeping track of royalties, who's owning things. These are all legal frameworks that are interesting to keep an eye on, even if you're just an up-and-coming musician. Number two, your style, recordings, and catalog may be used to train AI models one day. So you want to understand your rights. You want to understand who's allowed to train, how you can make money if you want them to train on it, or if somebody's stolen it. And number three, creative identity. is now intertwined with the AI. So you need to protect your sound and stay involved in the licensing discussion. So if you are, an old school musician where you play your instruments and you sing everything, you're going to want to have that obviously documented and recorded if you do play with AI tools, plugins, or create genre changes using AI for your music or something. Document. So that's the question here that I'd love to see you guys answer in the comments if you could. Would you guys license your music for AI training if it gave you guaranteed royalties, or is it something that you just unsettles you, or you feel that your creative control has been lost? Secondly, how much influence should artists have over AI generated content that's based on their work? What is the percentage of creativity that goes to the original artist and to the new creator? Maybe it's like a Weird Al Yankovic kind of question. So our next segment is going to be about ethics and controversy. So who's owning that creativity, which kind of piggybacks on what we've been talking about. So the ethical debates that are swirling around AI in music have become a discussion everywhere, even on Reddit chains, particularly on one r/AI wars, which is an interesting one you guys should follow if this is stuff that interests you. It's showing that musicians and fans are already debating what's going to count as human-made music. So some are arguing that AI-generated tracks, completely lack soul, any form of intent, while others are seeing AI as kind of an extension of creativity. It depends on your uses, obviously. The Daily Star is reporting that an AI group has stolen a band's style. So that's sparked a lot of heated debate online about imitation versus interpretation. So that's been compounded by celebrity AI projects. Kanye West apparently is in the news again. He's been reported to use some partial AI production on Donda 2. Or we also had a story a couple weeks back on the AI recreation of Whitney Houston albums. That has also caused a public backlash, even when the intention was homage. So these examples raise some questions. Does AI-generated music devalue the human artist? Does it honor them? Or does it risk exploitation? The conversation's a bit messy, but it's crucial because it affects how fans are going to perceive your authenticity and how creators are protecting their legacy. So, somebody like Timbaland is coming out and straight up telling you that he's using AI and how he finds it interesting. And so Kanye, however, has sort of been found out. So I think, again, it goes back to the authenticity and being honest with people about what you're doing and why you're doing it. Just don't be sneaky. People don't dig that. So for musicians and producers, it's more than just the philosophy of this whole thing. Its ethical considerations are now obviously going to intersect with the business realities of it. As AI tools kind of start to grow, the transparency and disclosure part is going to become a part of your brand and your strategy, whether you use it at all, how you use it, and if you get caught or if you tell people how you're experimenting, that's all going to go into your brand and personality, whichever way you go from a marketing and brand standpoint. So are you going to, label your track as an AI assisted? Will you allow AI to emulate your voice? These are decisions that are not only going to, influence your public perception, but also legally what your outcomes and your financial outcomes are going to be at the long run of your music. So musicians are going to need to weigh that opportunity, that risk, and ethics all at once. So you can say, I'm just a musician, and that's fine, but I just don't want you to run into problems later. So what are your takeaways? 1, AI can imitate or extend your human creativity, so consider the ethical and public perceptions and implications. 2, labeling AI-assisted work is going to build trust and it's going to protect your brand. It's all developmental, but for right now when people aren't sure about it, it's worth it to be honest. 3, ethical boundaries may affect your legal rights and long-term legacy. So even if the ethics don't bother you, if your money bothers you, and if your potential for success later, losing it bothers you, you're going to want to make sure that you know what you're doing legally and ethically, because when the rulings finally come in, it could take everything you've created away. So for you guys, should AI-generated tracks that mimic deceased artists like Whitney Houston ever be commercially released? How do we know what she would have thought about it? The estate can give the go-ahead, but what does it really mean? What do you think about it on that topic? How about for you guys? We're lucky to be alive in a time when we might be able to put into our will what we want with our AI personalities. And then how do you personally define authentic music? Or even just authentic creativity in an AI driven era? How do you show that you are an authentic person even if you use AI? Because AI doesn't mean you're inauthentic, it's just about the use and how you present it. So on that topic, moving forward, we're going to talk a little bit about tools and the platforms now as AI collaborators. So the tools have been important for a long time outside of your guitar and your voice. So let's move into that practical side right now. So the tools and platforms that musicians are actually using. So companies like Kodachrome and AIODE are offering AI-driven composition platforms, which are helping artists generate chord progressions, melodies, and even mastered tracks. Dev.to highlights how these tools can unlock new levels of creativity, making it faster to explore ideas without sacrificing the quality. So if you think about AI as a collaborator, it's never getting tired. It's always giving you feedback. You can iterate 1,000 times. You can put 15 versions of a track online and test it on these focus group platforms, which is what TikTok is. Plaster on 15 different variants of a melody and see which one kicks, and then build from there. If that's how you want to create, depending on what you're doing. Another thing that's interesting is YouTube Labs is now taking this even a step further. So we saw in another portion that Netflix is jumping into gaming. Now we have YouTube Labs kind of pushing further into the music radio thing that they already have going. So what it is an AI curated music radio system, kind of like Spotify, but it also now has AI hosts. So that's basically going to change how you're discovering music, blending now your algorithm suggestions with creative curation. So meanwhile, hardware companies, for example, like Loden Guitars, are also embedding AI sensors on a totally different way of dealing with music into to interact with your performance, allowing live musicians to engage with AI in real time. So it means your next live performance could have AI dynamically harmonizing with you, improvising with you, jamming with you. That's very interesting. So AI is now affecting, recorded music on the side of YouTube Labs, which the AI host thing is very interesting, even from a marketing standpoint. So, are we going to be able to create hosts? Who are the hosts going to be? I'm still signed up waiting to get into the experiment of it. I can't get in. Let me know if you guys are in there. But those virtual DJs, if you can give them the right information about your music and they can speak very interestingly and creatively about your music to people, almost as if they were a built-in podcast about you, that's a very interesting thing to look at. So the takeaway for artists in general is pretty clear here again. Embracing AI is not going to mean replacing you. It's, again, about augmenting your creativity, experimenting faster, and exploring new workflows and new ways of pushing it out if you're smart about it, getting the music out there. So you got to start learning to work with AI, training models, curating outputs, blending them into projects, but you got to keep that human touch. There has to be your narrative depending on how you focus the music. Those who ignore AI are going to risk falling behind both on production speed and creative innovation. Again, if you're just a musician enjoying yourself, fine, but if you're looking to define yourself as a musician and maybe make money and have it be a career, if that's even still possible as part of your brand, you're going to need to understand what's coming. So your takeaways: 1, AI tools can accelerate composition, production, and mastering. Just treat them as your collaborators. They can just iterate. They don't have to be the final product. They can create ideas for the people that do the final product, however you create. 2, hybrid performance with AI is emerging, which means live integration will be part of the modern musician skill set. That is very interesting. You're jamming with a robot bassist or something. You could do that on TikTok lives and create something interesting. Very interesting stuff. How will we develop these AIs? Will they have different personalities? Will people create virtual musicians that have their specific style that they play and jam with you on and sell to that? That's all very interesting and something to take a look at. I mean, if it frightens you, you don't have to go into it, but you got to understand who you're competing with now if you are interested in the music business. And last, number 3, understanding AI's limits is critical. Your control is human again. This stuff is going to help you. It's not going to make you a star, because if everybody can be a star, nobody's a star. The real stars will once again shine. So, question to you guys: which aspects of your workflow could benefit most from the AI assistance, and would you perform live with an AI improvising alongside you? What do you guys think about that? Does that freak you out, or is it interesting, or is it a little bit too dystopian? I think it's kind of a cool thing. Have some, like a Chuck E. Cheese mannequin thing up there jamming bass AI style. Yeah, it's interesting. I'll take a look. I'll buy a ticket. So our fourth segment here is going to be industry impact and the role of the labels, which has changed dramatically over the years. So it's not just about how music is being made, it's changing the industry itself. The potential licensing deals we talked about with Universal and Warner are indicating that labels want to monetize AI before it goes rogue. They understand what's happening. According to Digital Music News and News Bytes, labels have been worried that without formal agreements, AI could use their entire catalogs without compensation, potentially creating another Napster moment for anybody that remembers that era, but for generative music. So they're trying to get ahead of it here, and that might be a good idea because the AI models in most segments so far have been using the do it and ask for forgiveness model rather than asking for permission. So that might be an interesting move on their part. Now, for indie artists and engineers and producers, the lesson is more about vigilance and negotiation. So contracts are increasingly going to feature AI clauses. So if you're on the verge of some kind of deal, these things might start coming up. So regarding training of models, derivative works, royalties, your likeness, your voice sounds, studios and engineers may need to understand AI effects, how they affect session rights, who mixed mastering credits, how much of the plugin is taking rights. Essentially, the economic and legal landscape is evolving right alongside the creative tools. And I know that's not the most fun thing to keep in mind when you're trying to make music, but if you're trying to create in this world, you have a lot of opportunity, but a lot of things to think about if you want to stand out. So now, on the other side, this is also going to affect marketing and fan engagement, which is one of the biggest parts to getting your music out there. AI, since it can generate content a lot faster, but then there's artists who maintain their voice and authenticity, they're going to stand out. Again, you have to be different. It's doing things its own way. You do things your own way. More competition. Think of AI as your accelerant, not necessarily the spark. It's going to amplify your creativity, but the human touch is still going to determine how you resonate with listeners and people. So staying informed about label negotiations and platform experiments may seem boring, but it's going to allow you to leverage AI safely while protecting your career, building it, or developing it, or wherever you may be. So your main takeaways on this. 1, labels are formalizing AI licenses. You need to understand the contracts, especially if you're getting close to one. I don't even know if signing contracts in this day and age is a wonderful thing or idea dependent, but that's another topic for another day. If you'd like me to dive into that, we can. Understand your rights before you sign. There will be AI clauses in there that might be wild and dystopian, so take a look. They're not famously good to people with their contracts in the music industry. Number 2, AI affects not only the creation, but also the royalties, the credits, the distribution, the way fans interact with it, production, and if your humanity is owned now. So keep all of that in mind as you create. Utilize some of it if it's fun to you. Number 3, maintain your authenticity in marketing and content, because that'll differentiate you from human artists and AI outputs, because it's you. It always will be. Even if there's an AI version of you, he's got to learn from something, right? So as a question to you, how would you balance AI usage with retaining your brand identity? So if you're fully like indie, I remember in the 2000s, indie, everything, no phone, no nothing, you can't, everything's touching the earth. You don't use AI. If that's your brand, how are you going to balance it? If you don't want to use it at all, do you run with that brand? Do you say, listen, I'm authentic, but I'm going to go ahead and do this because I don't like doing this? And without using this plugin to speed me up, I'll never get an album out, and I'd rather get an album out than not at all. So are you going to tell your audience that? How are you approaching the thought process on that? And if you are signing, would you negotiate your contract to allow AI training on your music for royalties? Or would you wait to see what the updates are, maybe a year or two down the road, when we see how this all really plays out and how the artists feel about the deal after the fact? And our last segment is going to be AI-driven creativity and the cultural shifts that come with it. So beyond the tools and the contracts, AI is shifting how we're thinking about creativity altogether. If you follow Reddit discussions and developer articles, they're going to highlight a huge growing debate. So if AI can generate music that's basically indistinguishable from humans, what does it mean for the concept of artistry? Is the creative act about originality, intent, emotion? Is it execution? So for musicians, it's philosophical and practical, and AI is challenging all of the definitions that we've come to know, and that's actually very interesting ground for some new music, new ideas, new personalities, stories that go cross, books, music, film. You can do so many things together now that maybe this all grows. Platforms like YouTube, like we talked about, and AI assisting mastering tools, they're creating new forms of collaborating between humans and machines. So it's not just affecting the composition, it's about how listeners expect to find you, what the perception of these things culturally is, and even what performance norms are going to be anymore. Artists are discovering that AI can be a co-creator. It's helping refine your ideas that might otherwise just stay in the rehearsal room or never be seen anywhere. So for creatives of all kinds in the music industry, the takeaway is going to be embracing this huge paradigm shift. AI can accelerate skill acquisition. It can generate experiments, and it can expand your cultural reach if you know how to play the platforms correctly. But always your unique human voice is still going to be the differentiator, and how you frame your AI usage, whether it's transparent, ethical, and creative, is going to define your career and your contribution to the culture during this AI era in music. So what are your takeaways? AI is challenging traditional definitions of creativity. Reflect on that in your artistic identity. You need to expand, grow, think deeper, or don't, but it depends on what you want to achieve in the story that you want to tell. Number 2, hybrid human AI workflows are accelerating experimentation and skill growth. Try not to be afraid of it. Just keep your head on. Try it. Give it a shot. That's what I like to encourage you to do between shows. Give it a shot. Come back, comment, let me know how it went for you. 3, transparency and ethical framing of AI usage are going to shape both public and cultural reception of all of AI, and most importantly, you as a musician and your brand. So you have to keep that transparency framework front of mind. So how does AI change your perception of what makes a song meaningful? Please, in the comments, let me know how you guys are feeling about it. I had a little dip when I first started thinking about it. Now I'm a little bit more positive. Would you, if you could let me know in the comments, publicly disclose AI's role in your work, or keep it behind the scenes? I would advise the former, but let me know what you guys would do and for what purpose. So I think that all of that, stepping back, what are all of these areas of focus tell us? It's basically one, that AI is now fully embedded in music creation, distribution, perception, legality. So licensing deals and ethical debates, all of that, collaboration, fan engagement, it's all in there now. But we still define music itself and what we love and who we are. So what you can do right now, before going away, I like to leave you with a few things you can really do actively to try and get engaged with the new coming era. Number 1, educate yourself on AI licensing and your rights. Don't let your catalog be used without oversight. So if you are a signed artist going to be signed, I want you to take a look at what you're signing. I want you to let me know if you've seen anything come up on this front, how you've dealt with it. That's something to very much keep front of mind. Number 2, experiment with AI tools. Pick one that I've mentioned, or if you need one, let me know. I'll put it in the comments. Use them as a collaborator. Don't let them replace you. Just play with it for a week. See what comes out. See if it sparks something. Number 3, maintain your human creative voice. This is the differentiator in a world where AI can replicate style. It still needs something new. It always does, and you will always be your own thing, even if that thing is, quote, replicating you. You can never copy it right. Number 4, consider the ethics and transparency. Labeling AI-assisted work, at least in the beginning here, I think is going to build trust and protect your brand. I think is that as we grow, this is all going to become a lot blurrier. But for the moment, I think that it needs to be part of your authenticity if you are using it, or if you are actively against it, if you're actively diving. Just be clear with your audience and make sure it goes with who you are and your brand, and be honest about it. Enjoy it if that's what you enjoy. So the bottom line is AI is here to stay. It's a tool. It's a collaborator. but it's not going to replace you. So please understand the possibilities as well as the limitations. Safeguard your creative identity and your work, and we'll all thrive in the next chapter of music history because we're in the middle of creating it. So as fearful as it might seem, when we all look back on this, we'll see what actually shook out. So whether you're in the studio stage or just strategizing on your new release, keep experimenting, stay informed, stick with us, and we'll keep you up to date. So my final questions that I'll leave with you guys before I head out: how will you incorporate AI into your music this year, or won't you? Please let me know in the comments. I want to see how many people in the musical landscape are embracing it or are afraid of it. You get a lot of doomer news. I want to hear what you guys really think. And two, what's one aspect of AI in music that really excites you, and that what's getting you engaged, what's fun, and then what's one that completely scares you? Because it can be both things, and I think it is. So please let me know, guys, what you guys thought about it. Let me know how you're feeling. That was this week's episode of AI X Music. Of course, we will see you next week. And in the meantime, if you could please subscribe, give me a like. We're trying to hit 50 subscribers, our tiny little goal. If we hit it, we'll be able to go live, start building community, start talking with other musicians, and we'll have a grand old time and understand ourselves in this brand new era. So thanks again, guys, and I will see you next week. Sending my love.